Hello everybody, Daz here. Today I would like to show you a product that I received for the store, and it's from Bitspower and their sub-brand name called TouchAqua, which, as I understand correctly how Bitspower trying to position it, it's a cheaper version of Bitspower. So people who can't afford Bitspower supposedly can buy TouchAqua. So anyways, this is a new thing that I noticed in Bitspower store. It looks really interesting. You can see it's kind of a reservoir which has a dual loop configuration, so you can have two different liquids inside of the same body of the same reservoir. So it has a flow meter built in, so on the pictures it looks really cool. It wasn't really clear for me if this includes or doesn't include a pump itself, because sometimes Bitspower shows pictures at kind of final assembly, and it's, you never know basically. So I wasn't sure about that, but nevertheless I got a few units, and I decided to open up one box and check it out, everything about that. To be honest with you, I already checked that pump is there, so don't be surprised that the unit is not sealed. So let me try to open it up. Here you go. So you see we have a sleeve with a TouchAqua logo and everything, but inside we have a standard Bitspower box from the reservoirs. And what we have here is the unit itself, which looks like this, and some accessories that will look a little bit in more details later. So basically the pump is there, so you can see the pump is included. So this is how unit it looks. It's extremely heavy. It's really hefty chunk of acrylic which was heavily machined, and a lot of work went into this unit. But nevertheless, even in our store, it's like $267 if I'm not mistaken, so probably about 200 something dollars in US dollars for those who watching from States. So it's still kind of expensive item, and the question for me, is it really worth it money, depends what we're getting here. And half of what we're getting here is a reservoir, and second half is actually the pump. And pump, I don't even know what it is, because on size and dimensions it's very much look as DDC, but I cannot tell without disassembling is it DDC or not. And because that's what I think about the whole situation there. So if it includes DDC pump, then it's really very good, well priced unit, because the pump itself it's about, I don't know, $100 or so, and we have another 100 for reservoir, which is very elaborate type of work is done with this. So we have a panel, we have a piece of as I said, acrylic, which has a lot of carving done into that, so it's a lot of machine time, flow meter built in, light built in, we have some accessories coming, so it's fair deal. But if it's some sort of unknown Chinese pump that we don't even know how much it costs and what's reliability rating for that particular pump, then the whole situation became wishy-washy. So what we do, we basically unscrew this pump and have a look, because you see it has a cover, so you can't even tell what's inside, except the approximate shape of DDC. So I hope it's DDC. If it's not, we'll see what's happening there. So see you in a second in a close-up.
Alright. Well, it doesn't look like DDC pump at all, to be honest, unless it's a model that I'm not familiar with. Impellers look like DDC, but this cabling actually does not. So let's see if we can remove circuit board and see what we can do about it. Just strictly for comparison purposes, so this is DDC, how it looks. So we have this traditional like round thing here in the middle, and we don't know what's around, but PCBs look like this, and it always says, for this particular model, it says DDC 3.1 PWM. So this is this model, and the design of the ball portion. The ball is much bigger. So this is impeller. This is impeller look more like D5 size of impeller actually. So I think the flow rate probably higher with this pump than with this pump, just because the impeller is so much bigger. So it's very powerful magnets. Right, they want to stick together, but you can see the difference. Alright, here we have it. The pump unfortunately is not DDC, so it's some sort of other pump with, as it appears to be, possibly PWM type. So I already said it before I started assembling that with DDC I think it was extremely good deal. Without DDC this is an open question. Why? Because as I said, the reliability of unknown pumps is always very tricky question. We have bad examples and we got the good examples. For example, EKs used to resell Chinese pumps for years. This was little DCP pump type, which was kind of squarish ones. And I can't remember for love of God what was the name of the company. I think it was Jingwei, but I'm not 100% sure. But those Jingwei pumps or EK pumps, they was extremely reliable. It was very rare cases when it was any RMAs or anything like this. So they wasn't as good as Lang, but they was very, very decent. At the same time, we have an example from Alpha Cool that recently tried to make clone of D5 and it's miserably failed, and anybody who follow in forums all know the whole drama that happened about those ones. So you see, situation can be this way or that way. For that particular reason, for my own builds, you can do whatever you want. For my own build, I never deviate from Lang pumps. It's top of reliability, it's heart of your water cooling system. That's not the way to save money. So anyways, so what we have here, nevertheless, let's look on the product. Besides the pump issue, each of you will decide for your own that if you like it bother you or not, but we'll talk about now Reservoir itself. I give you a little bit scoop what it is and what's coming with it. First of all, let's look quickly about accessories. So what we have here, they give you 3 fittings. One fitting a 90-degree adapter, rotary adapter. Another fitting is an air exhaust fitting that you put on top of the reservoir, and it's you know, by pressing it you help air kind of escape. And we have a space adjusting fitting that actually half of it look very much as a hard fitting for hard tubes. But we have this adjustment portion that you basically, when you connect it to side panel or if you mount it on a radiator, then basically you can, in conjunction with 90-degree piece, you can basically put it together with less hassle. And we have very nicely looking aluminum silver brackets. And how they use it, you attach them to your reservoir. It has a number of screw holes along the entire unit, so top, 2 in the middle and 1 in the bottom, so it's a lot of locations for you to match your particular situation. And you attach those brackets to that with the 4 provided screws, and those brackets can be either attached to the case or it actually can be put right on a radiator, which is kind of nice thing sometimes. So that's that. We have for LED, we have a digital
type of RGB LED. So which means that you can have a fancy waves, rainbow waves, or running different sequences thingies. And nicely enough, they provide you a little cable which is a splitter, so you can run this light together with something else, a kind of pass-through item. Another thing that I noticed that I think worth mentioning, so if you don't, if you have UV liquid and you want to glow, RGB can work, but it's not the best type of the light. Or secondary, if you want white light produced by RGB, probably the worst thing ever. So if you want any color, great. But if you want white, it never looks good. It's always tinted to some color because it's just a mix of lights. Plus you see all those 3 dots if line of sight actually facing towards LED, so it looks really crappy. And for that particular situation, you actually can easily replace this light. It has this little screw on the bottom that fixing light. So you take it out, slide the whole thing away, and it has a carving which look like it's 5 mm wide, as I judge by eyes. And you can take something like UV light from dark side or UV light white dark side light, slide it in, cut it to the size you need because those are cuttable, and you have a nice glowing liquid action going on, which is really cool. So last piece, last 2 pieces, we have a little tool. Is I assume that it's for all those screws. Actually it's not, it's only for those little screws that helps you to attach your brackets. So that's tool, and you have adapter cable. So if you don't want to run a PWM action from your motherboard, I don't know the power, what is the wattage of this unit, but I assume it's safe if they provide you 4-pin connection. But if you don't want to run it from the motherboard, or you don't have a proper rated header, this is a Molex adapter, so you connect it directly to your power supply, so it works pretty good. So they take care about most of the items very nicely. So now about the reservoir, worth mentioning few things. Port locations. First of all, let's say that it's dual loop, right? I already mentioned it. So one loop is this little one that goes just around this flow meter. It's actually not a meter, a flow indicator, because it doesn't provide you any RPM, it's just spinning and shows you that actually liquid is moving. So this one, this has a port on the side only, and in and out doesn't matter what you want to do. It's agnostic, so you can connect it any way you want. Second loop that is has a port on the side and 2 ports on the top. Those one is more specific. Why? Because what's happening when pump spins, it's actually pushing liquid only from a side port. So this is always your exit of your liquid. And the liquid coming to the pump in the middle and following this water channel will go like this and go like this and it will go like up. So this is second portion, that is your second loop. And so this has to be out, and those 2 ports is your in. As I see it, excuse me. So one port is for your exhaust fitting, and second port is the actual in. Why? Because they have a little notch here. So you see, so this is for breaking your flow so it doesn't bubble too much. Of course you can go any way you want, but I assume that this part is done specifically to prevent you bubbling. So it's recommended the one above the notch will be in, another one is your fill port or whatever you want. So of course if you don't want to run dual loop, what you do, like very actually easy, you can essentially enter somewhere on the side with a little loop, exit, loop itself on a secondary loop and go in. So it will be just the same liquid everywhere. So it's not end of the world, just a little bit tubing needs to be done. And how again we mount it out, because this side's all your ports, and this is your location for your brackets and stuff like this. So either you mount it vertically on the side panel or radiator, as I mentioned it already, or it's obviously you can put it on the bottom of your case, and it probably will be not most optimal for the reason because why I'm saying it, because body of water very little, so it's a good chance that the pump maybe or may not will be easily sucking air in, although this depression probably help to avoid that situation, but this way air will be bubble up much easier. So vertical will be easy to bleed, horizontal will be harder to bleed, but in the end of the day, anything possible, you get rid of air and it just works fine. So that's little thingy. We have a few in the store now. It was interesting enough unit to bite a bullet and for me to open it up. So this now is open, disassembled. I pressure tested it and put it in DazLab use section. So some of you guys who will watching my store might get this a little bit cheaper because now it's kind of all in my fingerprints and as I said, pump was out and then it's things like this. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you find this little video interesting. As I see another exciting product, definitely will tell you so. See you soon.